Prince William begs Queen Camilla and King Charles to honor. Last request, but they say no. For over 7 decades, Queen Elizabeth II was a symbol of stability, tradition, and dignity in the hearts of the British people and the world. She was not only the head of state, but also the soul of the British royal family, a figure whose presence bridged generations and soothed the silent storms behind palace doors. Yet few could have anticipated that even after her passing, the name Elizabeth II would continue to send shockwaves. Not through some grand international event, but through something seemingly deeply personal, her final will. That will, traditionally guarded with the utmost secrecy by royal custom, unexpectedly became the epicenter of conflict. Its contents were not merely a division of assets or personal instructions. They carried a final message, a clear and weighty wish that has not been fulfilled. This has ignited a wave of silent tension within the royal family. Prince William, seen by the public as the embodiment of a new generation, modern, responsible, and relatable, has called on his father, King Charles III, and Queen Camilla to honor the Queen's last request. A seemingly simple plea, yet laden with implications. For in doing so, William is implicitly asserting that his father, the reigning king, has disregarded his mother's wishes. And the most shocking part, King Charles and Queen Camilla have refused. Not through an official statement, but through actions and a prolonged silence. The characteristic language of the discreet and complex world of the British monarchy. This refusal has not only sparked fierce debate within the palace, but also fractured their already fragile public image. So what was written in that will? Why does it wield such influence that it drove William to confront his own father? And why have Charles and Camilla chosen to defy it? An act that, for a son and heir to the throne, might be considered taboo. Could it be that behind the document locked away in the royal safe lies a secret that, if exposed, could shake the foundations of the monarchy? Or is this merely a simmering power struggle, cloaked in the guise of filial duty and honor? Today, we will bring you closer to the truth. Not the truth splashed across headlines, but the overlooked details, the unresolved complexities, and the questions still plaguing the royal family behind closed doors. For to understand the future of the monarchy, we must begin with the final moments of the woman who held Britain's destiny in her hands for a lifetime. According to leaked information, Queen Elizabeth II's final will was not just a legal document dividing assets. It was a microcosm of how she viewed her family members. The will encompassed a vast array of iconic and immensely valuable assets, from properties like Balmoral Castle in Scotland and Sandringham House, to an art collection of hundreds of antique works, rare oil paintings, royal jewelry, some once belonging to Queen Victoria, and dozens of thoroughbred racehorses that she devoted her life to nurturing. However, the focus was not on the value of these assets, but on how the Queen chose to distribute them. Sources close to the family revealed that she bequeathed the majority of her personal jewelry to the Princess of Wales, Kate, a symbolic choice as if to affirm that the role of the family's matriarch would pass not to Camilla, but to Kate. Other personal gifts were left to her grandchildren, particularly William and Harry, as a means to strengthen familial bonds despite their conflicts. And then when this will was delivered to key members of the royal family, one person chose not to remain silent. That was Prince William. Despite opposition from the palace, and especially from King Charles, William demanded that the main contents of the will be publicly disclosed during an internal meeting among royal family members. This action stunned many in the royal circle, not because of the transparency William pursued, but because it placed him in direct confrontation with his father. William believed that if the Queen's wishes were not honored, it would not only be an insult to her memory, but also a blow to the honor of the royal family itself. Meanwhile, King Charles argued that publicizing the will would only fuel discord, reigniting disputes the Queen had spent her life trying to avoid. Camilla, on the other hand, saw it as a personal affront. The reaction from Charles and Camilla was reportedly intense. They refused to implement certain parts of the will, including the transfer of the Queen's prized horses to Princess Anne, Charles's sister, as per her wishes. Instead, they sold part of the herd, an action that sparked fierce controversy within the royal family and enraged Princess Anne to the point of refusing to attend certain events with the king. Camilla, who, despite her title as queen consort, was not the queen by will, was also reportedly dissatisfied with her inherited share. She particularly objected to the fact that much of the symbolically significant jewelry was given to Kate, whom the queen regarded as the ideal daughter-in-law. In private conversations, Camilla expressed her discontent, feeling treated as an outsider in the very family she had spent her youth securing a place in. Once again, the public began to ask, why are Charles and Camilla refusing to honor the will? Are they trying to reshape the power structure within the royal family? Or is there something in the will's contents that the public has yet to learn, a secret that could damage their image? And William, is he truly acting out of principle and loyalty to the Queen? Or is he asserting his own position in a subtle power play between generations? These questions are not easily answered. But one thing is certain, the will, intended as a gentle farewell from the Queen, is quietly causing political earthquakes that reverberate to the very heart of royal power. To grasp the weight of this will and why it could ignite a crisis within the British royal family, we must return to the moments before it all began, the final days of Queen Elizabeth II. Following the death of Prince Philip in April 2021, her partner of 73 years, the Queen's health began to visibly decline. Though she continued to appear in public with her trademark serene smile, she started using a walking stick at official events, an uncommon sight for a monarch known for her strength and relentless work ethic. Numerous overseas tours were canceled. In-person meetings were replaced with virtual ones. Her public schedule grew sparse. Then, early in 2022, the palace confirmed that the Queen had contracted COVID-19. Despite being fully vaccinated, the illness took a noticeable toll on the 96-year-old. She became visibly frail, lost significant weight, was frequently fatigued, and was forced to drastically reduce her daily workload, something unprecedented in her over 70-year reign. Yet, astonishingly, even with only days left to live, Queen Elizabeth II continued to work. Just 2 days before her passing, she personally welcomed the new Prime Minister, Liz Truss, at Balmoral Castle, a meeting held not in London as customary, but in Scotland, where she chose to spend her final days. Though her hands bore the darkened marks of illness, her eyes remained sharp, her voice steady. For her, being queen was not a title. It was a mission that endured until her final moments. According to her longtime private secretary, Angela Kelly, the Queen knew her time was short. In an intimate conversation between the two women, who had been close for over 3 decades, Elizabeth II said simply, "I've nearly completed my journey." No tears, no drama, just an uncanny calm, as if she had long prepared for this moment. In her final hours before withdrawing from the mortal world, the Queen still requested updates on international political developments. Records show she personally directed the issuance of a final statement regarding an attack on Indigenous people in Canada, a topic she had followed closely for decades, reflecting her rare concern as a monarch for communities once part of the British Empire. This not only demonstrated her mental clarity until the end, but also underscored her unique leadership style, never relinquishing responsibility even as she let go of life. And then, on September 8, 2022, Queen Elizabeth II passed away at Balmoral Castle, her true home, closing a long chapter in British history. She was the longest reigning monarch in the nation's history, surpassing even Queen Victoria. A woman not born to rule, she stood firm through nearly a century of the modern world's most turbulent moments. From World War II, the dissolution of the British Empire, the Cold War, Brexit, to the COVID-19 pandemic. Yet her legacy is not merely in statistics or diplomatic milestones. It lies in how she navigated family dynamics, with a delicate balance of love, duty, and tradition. The will she left behind, though not fully disclosed, is considered a vital part of that legacy. For in it, she did not just divide wealth, she conveyed messages, trust, and unspoken boundaries she wanted her successors to uphold. And it is the disregard of part of that wish that has begun to crack the carefully curated image she maintained for 70 years. If anyone in the royal family truly understands the value of what Queen Elizabeth II left behind, not just material wealth, but a system of moral legacy, honor, and duty, it is Prince William. From a young age, William was raised unlike any royal child before him. Within the family, he was affectionately called Willie or Wombat, a nickname his mother, Princess Diana, gave him after a trip to Australia. But behind the charm was a deliberate upbringing. Diana wanted her son, who would one day be king, to understand life beyond the palace gates. She took William to places no prince was expected to go: homeless shelters, HIV hospitals, and even ordinary supermarket shopping trips. As a result, William grew up with a worldview distinct from his predecessors. While those before him were cloaked in protocol, William developed empathy for the public struggles. Though he attended boarding school early at Ludgrove and later Eton, two of Britain's most prestigious institutions, he retained the calm and approachable demeanor his mother had painstakingly cultivated. He later graduated from the University of St. Andrews with a degree in geography, a less glamorous choice than politics or international relations, but one that reflected his practical, understated nature. William did not immediately enter royal life. He served in the Royal Air Force, then became a pilot for the East Anglian Air Ambulance, a job requiring life-or-death reflexes, direct exposure to accidents, blood, and tears. It was here that William learned the value of life, death, and responsibility, not through grand speeches, but through each crash site he approached, each late-night shift, each grieving family awaiting news. As he matured, he took on increasing roles within the royal family. From becoming a counselor of state, able to perform certain duties on behalf of the monarch in their absence, to representing the family at significant ceremonies, including his father's coronation as King Charles III, William not only showed up, but left his mark as the face of a new, youthful, and cautious royal generation. William's vision is clear: make the royal family relevant for the next 20 years. This is not just a slogan. It is a guiding principle for his actions, from streamlining the number of senior royals to staying silent amid family scandals, and even publicly disclosing the Queen's will, despite his father's opposition. In the whirlwind of controversy surrounding the will, William has emerged as a steadfast guardian of his grandmother's legacy. For him, this is not just about inheritance. It is about preserving an order she painstakingly upheld for 7 decades. His decision to disclose the will's main contents was not an act of defiance, but a move to ensure that all royals understood the Queen's final wishes, and that no one could distort or conceal them for personal gain. Beyond his royal duties, William is a family man, a priority he holds above even the throne. His marriage to Catherine Middleton, now the Princess of Wales, is a symbol of stability and mutual respect. They have 3 children: Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis, raised in a balance of royal tradition and modern life. Together with Catherine, William is building a new model of royalty, more approachable, transparent, yet rooted in dignity. This makes William a central figure in the crisis following the Queen's death. He is not just the heir to the throne. He is the heir to her spirit, the guardian of values, unwritten codes of conduct, and above all, the one who still believes in the importance of the royal legacy. But can William alone protect everything Elizabeth II worked to build, when even his father, the legitimate successor, chooses to ignore his mother's final wishes? And does William's silence after disclosing the will signal preparation for a bolder move? While William strives to preserve the Queen's spiritual legacy, on the other side of the crown, King Charles III and Queen Camilla are at the heart of an unending storm of controversy. Charles, the eldest son of Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip, was raised with an inescapable destiny: to be king. He attended Gordonstoun, the famously strict Scottish school his father had attended, and later studied at the University of Cambridge, becoming the first heir to the throne to earn a university degree. Though meticulously prepared, Charles has always been a complex, sometimes enigmatic figure, one the public has never fully understood. Beyond his royal role, he has a deep passion for art, architecture, the environment, and philanthropy. In 1970, he founded the Prince's Trust, a charity still thriving today, helping thousands of disadvantaged youth transform their lives. Charles also represented the Queen at numerous international events, from Commonwealth summits to state visits, bolstering the UK's global image. Yet these contributions have never fully quelled public scrutiny of his personal life. For alongside his public role as an exemplary Prince of Wales, Charles was the central figure in one of the most controversial marriages in royal history: his union with Princess Diana. Married in 1981, Charles and Diana were once seen as a modern fairy tale. But behind their public smiles was a cold, conflicted marriage rife with mistrust. Diana described it as a three-person relationship from the start, because Camilla Parker Bowles, the woman Charles always loved, never truly left his heart. The marriage publicly unraveled, sparking a series of media scandals, leaked tapes of intimate conversations, explosive interviews, and finally a formalized divorce in 1996. The following year, Diana died in a car crash in Paris, and Charles, along with Camilla, faced the full brunt of public outrage. Camilla was once branded the third person, vilified by the press as a destroyer of the royal family. She lived in the shadows for years, appearing cautiously alongside Charles, avoiding controversy. But time and savvy PR gradually reshaped her image. She was redefined not as an interloper, but as a soulmate, the woman who stood by Charles for over half a century. Queen Elizabeth II was initially wary of this relationship, but in a symbolic gesture in 2022, just months before her death, she expressed her wish that Camilla be known as Queen Consort when Charles ascended the throne. This was not just personal approval, but institutional blessing, paving the way for historic legitimacy. And that moment arrived. On May 6, 2023, at Westminster Abbey, where centuries of English monarchs have been crowned, Charles officially became King Charles III. Beside him, Camilla, now Queen Consort, donned a crown and ascended the throne. It was a historic moment, but it also left many feeling a sense of unease. For not everyone could forget Princess Diana, and not everyone could accept that the woman who caused her pain now occupied the highest position in the royal family. The story grew more complex when Charles and Camilla, though officially reigning, chose their own path in handling the Queen's legacy. Their refusal to follow the will, from asset distribution and jewelry allocation to unspoken directives about royal roles, raised questions. Is there something in the will they are trying to conceal? The sale of the Queen's beloved horses, the retention of jewelry intended for Kate or Princess Charlotte, and the quiet disputes with Princess Anne all paint a less than rosy picture of the royal family after the matriarch's passing. In this context, the image of Charles and Camilla, though polished by time and ceremony, remains a dark spot in the minds of many Britons. Questions of loyalty, legitimacy, and fairness in power linger, unanswered. For the throne, though granted by crown and constitution, requires true acceptance from the hearts of the people. And it seems Charles and Camilla are still on a journey to earn that. If the coronation of Charles and Camilla was painted as a moment to close a turbulent past, the Queen's will was the smoldering spark that reignited every conflict. As soon as the will's contents were revealed, a quiet shockwave rippled through the royal ranks. What stunned Charles and Camilla was not just the symbolic division of assets, but the meaning behind each item. A significant portion of the Queen's personal jewelry, diamonds she wore at international events, pieces symbolizing sovereignty and succession, was bequeathed to Catherine, the Princess of Wales, not Camilla. For Charles, this was a direct blow to the legitimate Queen image he had painstakingly built for Camilla over nearly 2 decades. For Camilla, it was an unbearable humiliation. According to sources, she repeatedly requested a review of the will, arguing that she, as the current queen, deserved to inherit the treasures once owned by the Queen. A controversial moment was recorded within the palace. Camilla reportedly instructed staff to address her as Queen rather than Queen Consort, a small but symbolic detail, as if to assert that she was not just the king's wife, but the new head of the Windsor dynasty. But this desire met with backlash, not only from the public but also within the royal family. Princess Anne, the Queen's only daughter, is known for her steadfast loyalty to her mother's legacy. Upon discovering that Charles and Camilla were delaying or altering the will's execution, Anne confronted them head-on. In a private meeting among senior royals, she is said to have forcefully stated, "The will is mother's final wish. We have no right to change it." Meanwhile, William, the direct heir, went further. He publicly supported executing the will verbatim, even if it meant clashing directly with his father and stepmother. This move led some within the royal circle to view him as a troublemaker, disrupting the fragile stability of the monarchy after the Queen's death. Yet William did not back down, for he understood that the will was not just a list of assets, it was a final message, carrying the Queen's direction, will, and aspirations for the next generation. Public reaction in Britain began to stir. Newspapers ran stories about the contested jewelry, the auctioned royal horses, and sudden changes in the division of the Queen's personal estates. Each article, each headline raised the question, is the royal family as united as they want the public to believe? Public opinion split sharply. Some supported Charles, arguing that as king, he had the right to adjust elements that could affect the monarchy's image in a new era. But a larger, increasingly vocal group sided with William. They saw him as the embodiment of integrity, a new generation respecting old values. On social media, hashtags like #RespectTheWill and #JusticeForTheQueen emerged, reminding all that the public had not forgotten and was not ready to forgive those who disregarded the final wishes of the woman who led the nation for over 70 years. Amid this, William held his ground. He did not publicly criticize his father, but made no effort to hide his disappointment. Appearing alongside his wife, Catherine, he presented a model of the new royalty, modern, approachable, and morally clear. Once again, William became the perfect foil to Charles, a king surrounded by controversial decisions and a queen consort still not fully accepted by the public. The question remains, is Charles and Camilla's refusal to honor the will merely about assets, or does it conceal a quieter battle over power, position, and the future of the dynasty? And as these conflicts continue to unfold in the public eye, can the British royal family maintain the unity that has underpinned their authority for centuries? The story began with a single document, a will written in the Queen's final days. But in the short time since its revelation, that document has become a catalyst, igniting cracks long simmering within Britain's most powerful family. To an ordinary person, a will is simply about dividing assets, but for the royals, it carries historical weight. It is the final will of a monarch who reigned for over 70 years. A carefully crafted message to each member, who inherits symbols of sovereignty, who is excluded from the circle of trust, and who will carry forward the mission of sustaining an empire that once spanned nearly half the globe. Prince William, the grandson closest to the Queen, chose transparency. He publicly supported the will, daring to confront his father, King Charles III, and stepmother Camilla, those who deemed its contents impractical and unsuitable for the current situation. And from there, it ceased to be an ordinary family dispute. The discord sparked tense confrontations among key royals, between William and Charles, Camilla and Princess Anne, the past and the present, duty and power. Every action, every decision was scrutinized by the public, placed under the microscope of the media and a public trust already worn thin. Many wonder, could this division be the first sign of the unraveling of an institution long seen as a symbol of British stability? And if even the Queen's will, the woman synonymous with unity, is not respected, what can keep the crown steady in the eyes of the people? We see a Camilla, though officially queen consort, not granted the traditional symbols of royal femininity, a symbolic rejection calculated by the Queen herself. And because of this, some believe Camilla has sought to influence changes to the will, an action that has made her image even more controversial. We see a King Charles at the twilight of his life, finally ascending the throne, struggling to balance power and duty, his roles as king and father. And above all, we see William, the young heir, not only facing personal challenges, but bearing a greater burden, preserving the Queen's legacy and shaping the monarchy's future in a new era. So the question is not just about a will, it is about the future of an institution that has stood for centuries. Is the throne truly trembling amid internal conflicts? Will Camilla continue to persuade Charles to chart a different course, despite the Queen's wishes? And can William, with his exemplary image and strong public support, overcome these conflicts to lead the monarchy into a new era? These questions remain unanswered. But one thing is certain, Queen Elizabeth II's legacy, not just jewelry, estates, or titles, but principles, integrity, and responsibility, remains the guiding light for those truly worthy of succeeding the throne. This story, more than ever, forces us to reflect. Is bloodline enough to make a king? Or is it morality and loyalty that truly define power? What do you think about this simmering conflict within the British royal family? Do you believe William will preserve what the Queen left behind? Or do you think the throne faces a more uncertain future than ever? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. And if you want to keep exploring the untold secrets of the royal family, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell to stay updated on our next stories. See you in the next video. where the truth continues to be unraveled, layer by layer.